Okay, we are live. There we go. As soon as I press record, people start turning up. Typical. Yeah, welcome everyone. For our Pixel guys, they'll be used to this by now. But for anyone either from Cure or that's picked up the post from Twitter and any of the other socials, this is our coin of the week. And for the first week of 2022, we've managed to pick out Cure. And Jacob, we have here, the CEO. And I will first let him introduce himself and Cure and tell you what it's all about. Your mic's still off there, Jacob.
There we go.
Start again.
Amateur hour over here. So, but I was saying, first off, thank you for selecting Cure as the coin of the week. This is pretty cool. You know, we're pretty proud of our project and what we've accomplished, and this is a testament to what we're trying to achieve. That we're getting this sort of validity from your project, and just pretty excited about that. And I'd love to hear more and allow my community to hear more about Pixl in a minute here. But first off, I'm Jacob Beckley. I am the founder and CEO of Cure, Cure Token. And actually, Cure is more than just a token at this point. But I'll talk a bit about, very briefly, what Cure is and why it started and kind of how we got to where we are today. But basically, Cure Token is a legitimate charity project founded by a nonprofit organization, 501c3 nonprofit organization. And that nonprofit was started in 2016 by myself. And I've always had a reason and a cause to want to help as much around cancer as possible. And I have a spot in my heart for pediatric cancer. So that's what Cure is about helping others, about raising money for pediatric cancer research and awareness and direct family support. So our project started about 4 months ago. We launched a fair launch. We had a project directly before that, which needed to be rewritten because we had, amateur Jake here had some minting function in there and some other blacklist function, things that just weren't suitable for this space. So went through a relaunch, which was very successful. And I think we got to our all-time high. We were at just over a 50 million market cap. And then we've started to slowly level out, which we're at a point right now where we're starting to grow again. And we've got a lot on the horizon, which I'll be sharing and talking about here shortly. So I think that's a good setup. But I just wanted to reiterate, thank you again for having us over. I mean, this is a big deal for us to be able to be recognized like this and be the coin of the week. That's pretty exciting for us.
No, absolutely. And as I said, when we've been chatting before, you're more than welcome. It's literally the purpose. It's what we want to do. I mean, for myself, I'd heard of the Cure maybe a month or two before I initially contacted you. And that was more of an investment sort of point of view. Okay. And it literally came up on a Reddit post. And it's a bell tinged. That was familiar. And as soon as I come in, recognised it. And I think the thing for the Cure, when you look at a lot of other charity tokens and Save the World and Save the Whales and Save the Tadpoles and all this sort of coming up, you stand out massively because you have the real world connections. You have yourself who are completely forward facing and you've got a previous standing in the background. And you, as I say, your real world position is linked in with what you're doing every day. And I think one of the biggest inspirations is I can stay out of your chat for 2 minutes on Telegram and I go in there and you're in there announcing something new again. It's like you've got this never-ending stream of ideas and it's always brilliant to see that. And that's what we like to see either in our own project or anyone that we work with.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and, the real world connection is our differentiator. I've dedicated my life to a life of service a long time ago, and this is just an extension of that. The reason that Cure even came to be was actually a result of the pandemic, and the fact that the way we were traditionally doing fundraising and raising money for our cause and we have financial commitments to researchers and to help families. And when the pandemic hit, all of that just sort of ceased to exist. We couldn't host in-person fundraisers and events and silent auction items and, raffles and things like that we would do historically to raise money. And it just was a moment where we're like, you know what, this is a good time to pivot into crypto. Crypto is very topical. I was really passionate about it. People in my immediate surroundings were passionate about it. And it just seemed like there was the right spot. And I'm happy we made this leap into crypto because it's been really successful. And I didn't know at the time that there were a lot of charity projects before us, like you mentioned. I mean, there was one right before we launched called, I think, Save the Kids or something like that, that ended up being a rug pull. And unfortunately, a lot of charities, and I don't want to say all, but a lot of them, end up being honeypots or rug pulls. And they just, they start out with this perception that they have good intentions and that they're out there to help people. But at the end of the day, it's all about pulling at people's heartstrings and then, manipulating the system and then running away with people's money. And I think this is a different type of project. This is a project that wasn't started as a token and then said, hey, let's go find a charity to attach ourselves to. This was a charity first project, and backed by the foundation and all the things that I have been doing for years to raise money. It's just a testament to what I think is a really solid grounding for this project. And so, yeah, it's been a pretty exciting past 4 months. We've been able to do a lot in the charity sector that we wouldn't have been able to do before. And that's all from a very simple 3% tax that goes to charity. And it accumulates real fast, and before we knew it, I mean, there were a couple days when the charity was pulling in, to, I think around $10,000 or $12,000 a day. And that's a lot of money. It used to take the foundation a full year to even get close to like $60,000, and that was a lot of work. And it was a lot of sleepless nights. I mean, not to say there aren't sleepless nights in crypto. I mean, I think now it's actually more sleepless nights. But I'm just proud and happy of what we've been able to accomplish in a short period of time and all the major milestones of crypto. But one last point about what you said about other charity projects, and our differentiator is the foundation, and our differentiator is that most of the people that are coming into Cure are actually people that know nothing about crypto. So they don't know what a wallet is and don't know what Binance is and BSC space and PancakeSwap. They have no idea. And that's why we built a new product, which I'll talk about in a bit. I'm pretty excited about, and also about the roadmap of that project. But we're doing a lot. And as you said, every time you check into our chat, there's something new. We are trying to bring innovation to the BSC space, and I think we're doing it pretty effectively.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, on the subject of the way you're progressing and the angles that you're taking, I've literally had to make myself some notes on what things I think are the biggest things on each given aspect of your project. Actually, the first thing you just touched upon there was QAPay. We've got, I think you've now disclosed it to the groups. I think I'm okay in mentioning the chain.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right? Yeah. I have to check that one. I wasn't too sure.
Yeah. You're talking about the exchange?
I am, yes.
Yes. We are getting listed on an exchange. And the name of that exchange is going to be announced on Monday. It's one of the, it's in the top exchanges. We spent our time very thoughtfully evaluating exchanges, and we've talked to so many exchanges, we didn't want to rush into an exchange listing. I know a lot of meme projects just try to get as many exchange listings as possible, but we wanted to be really thoughtful and take our time to make sure that the exchange we select, the first exchange we select, is right for our project. And then it's a good partnership. It's a good collaboration. They have worldwide reach. They work in the U.S., which was another consideration. And they checked all the boxes. So it's, I think they're in, I don't know exactly what number they are on CoinMarketCap's exchange listing, but I think it's in the top 30. So it's a pretty big exchange. And I'm pretty pleased with the results. There's going to be some details, as I said, coming out next week around who it is and the timing. The timing is also next week. So it's going to move very, very quickly. And we're pretty excited about it. We got a lot coming up with them. So we're collaborating with them on a lot of marketing as well as other things. So there's it's going to be pretty good for our project. I know every time a project gets listed on an exchange, it usually creates quite a bit of a lift for that project, and I think that will be the same for our project. Even in this massively down market, I think we're going to see some upward trend for our project.
Yeah, absolutely. As you say, I mean, the biggest thing at the moment for yourself and ourselves, any small BSC project, is visibility. Mm-hmm. But that has to come once you've got your foundations in place, you've got everything in place, people know that you're not just here and gone again. And as you say, you've got the likes of your QA in place, so you're in a perfect position now for that visibility to come, see you, see what you're about, and be able to invest knowing what they're getting into and what they're helping to in this situation as well. Talking of visibility was the other matter that I personally, I'm not American, and I know this sport quite well because I'm a petrol head. So I was just wondering if you might like to tell our people the recent sponsorship deal you've got going.
Yeah, this is a pretty big deal. So for all the gearheads out there, we are sponsoring the 2022 season for NASCAR, and this is a pretty big deal for any project. And the fact that we're doing an entire year-long sponsorship is an even bigger deal. So we've been working with, actually in talks with NASCAR for about 2 months. And I don't know if you know how the NASCAR system works, but you have NASCAR, which is the brand that runs everything, all of the races, and they have different series and levels within their organization. They have a series which is called the Xfinity Series, which is one down from their top series, which is called the Cup Series. So we are sponsoring the Cup Series, which is the highest level of NASCAR. And most crypto projects that you've seen will sponsor the Xfinity Series, which is the one below. And they do that for cost reasons and other reasons, but primarily cost driven. But we are sponsoring the entire season for NASCAR as a brand. So they're going to be doing a bunch of stuff with us, collaboration around digital media for starting in February, going all the way until the end of the season in October. And what that means is anytime you go on to a NASCAR property, which means NASCAR TV, their mobile app, their social platforms, their websites, they have in-car dash cams, every place that you see anything that says NASCAR, you're going to see Cure alongside that for most of the entire season, but in most of those places. And we're going to be sharing with Coca-Cola, which is one of the biggest brands. So it's going to be Coca-Cola and Cure, which is pretty cool. Why this is so important is that we're tapping into 120 million people, their audience, with our message around Cure and our philanthropy and our charity and our cause, and it's pretty exciting. So I'm sure it's the same as in the U.S., but sports teams usually in the month of October, which is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, they usually do a lot. Like in football, they'll wear pink cleats or shoes, the cleats, or socks, or other things. NASCAR also does things where they dress up the cars in pink. For September, which is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, NASCAR is going to be going above and beyond to bring to the forefront the message around pediatric cancer. So if nothing more, if people start to recognize through this sponsorship that pediatric cancer is a real thing and has, there's a big problem there that we got to solve. We got to support it and fund it, even if it doesn't come in the Cure, even if it doesn't come into our foundation. That's fine. I just want to get the message out there that hey, we spend a lot of time focusing on breast cancer awareness. Not that that's wrong, but here there's other forms of cancer that require as much attention, and so I'm just grateful that they're doing that. So anyway, so that's the NASCAR sponsorship. But then within that, you sponsor a race team, and by sponsoring a race team, that's where you get the car wrapped, and you get all sorts of other added benefits throughout the whole season. So we have not yet announced who the race team is or the driver, but I can say that the race team is the largest race team within NASCAR. So it's the biggest team, and the driver is this is his rookie season. He is driving. He's driven in the Xfinity Series, and this time he is moving up into the Cup Series, which is the biggest professional league. So he's gonna, I think, show a lot of people he's a He's a great driver. He did very, very well in the Xfinity series. So all of this coming together, it's massive for our project to be able to have this sort of visibility for not just our project, but for also, pediatric cancer. It's just massive.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think one of the things that does stand out with yourself when you speak about it is your involvement in it. And you're eager and you speak about it with some gusto. It's not just, here we are, it's a thing. Come and buy some. You can tell you're involved. You can tell you're committed to it. So
yeah, I'm overcommitted. I mean, there's been times in the past prior to this token, I've raised about $1 million since 2016 prior to the token. And I did that through a variety of different means, silent auctions, raffles, and events, but also by putting myself out there. And this is really important to me. I think some of the examples of some of the things I've done in the past have just been trying to put myself physically out there. So, and I'm a nerd at the end of the day. I'm a technology guy. I sit behind a computer all day, but I'm not really physical either. But there's been times in the past when I've done things like I built a boat from my own hands. I'm not a boat builder, but built a boat and then rowed across what we have here in Chicago, which is called Lake Michigan. And it's a 65-mile across lake, very large. And I rowed across it straight in 24 and a half hours nonstop. And then I did it twice. I did it with a Super Bowl Pro Bowler, Charles Peanut Tillman, who plays for the Chicago Bears. And he and I did it again in 2019, and then the pandemic hit, so we had to pivot. But I try to do as much as possible to bring awareness to pediatric cancer and try to raise money for it. And it's something that is very dear to my heart. And I've become friends with a lot of people who either have kids with pediatric cancer or those who have unfortunately lost their children to pediatric cancer. And I just want to be a voice for these families and help the research. And this project has evolved so much that I would love to talk a bit later on about the future of Cure and how we're going to make a difference in not just pediatric cancer, but all research as it relates to catastrophic diseases.
Yeah, so what we will do at the moment, if there's anything you think I've missed, or if there's anything you haven't broken yet that you might like to break out, anything you want to cover, if we give you a couple of minutes. And in the meantime, I did see one or two hands go up. If you bear with us, people, we will take questions once we finish.
Sure. I'll keep it brief because I know I could talk for hours. But we touched on CurePay briefly, but I want to say why this is so important and what it is. CurePay is a vehicle to get people into crypto without knowledge. So what it is, and I'll tell you the backstory. So backstory real quick. I had a lot of people coming to me and saying, hey, how do I get into Cure Token? And I don't have knowledge, and I'm like, oh, you got to get a wallet. You got to get some BNB smart chain. You got to go over to PancakeSwap. You got to do a swap. And this was over a lot of people's heads, but I tried to help them as much as possible, even so much so that I was actually setting up wallets for people and transferring and doing it all myself. And, as I realized that's an opportunity. I worked my day job in technology and innovation. So this is right in the sweet spot of that. And I realized that needed to be an automated process. So CurePay allows you to use any traditional payment method. So credit card, Visa, MasterCard, Discover, Amex, all of them. And then also Venmo and PayPal, Apple Pay and Google Pay. And it allows you to put your credit card information in, hit submit, the transaction goes through instantly, and then all the magic happens. So I've written software that creates a dynamic wallet, encrypts the private keys, transfers BNB from a holding wallet to that wallet, converts it through PancakeSwap API into Cure Token, and then you get an email with access to your private and secure dashboard where you can see your tokens and then interact with them. You can request your private keys there. You can, right now we're working on a feature where you can transfer them out of your Cure wallet into a wallet of your choice. You can also import those private keys into a wallet of your choice, MetaMask or Trust Wallet. And then we're building in functionality for you to be able to sell your tokens within the dashboard. Right now, you would sell them the traditional ways through PancakeSwap that you would normally do. But we're trying to make it accessible because there's a lot of people coming into Cure that just don't have the same knowledge as everyone else in the space already. So this is a really innovative product. And we're testing it right now and building it for Cure. But we're speaking to a dozen projects right now about rolling this out across other BSC and Ethereum projects. Had multiple calls yesterday actually about this, and more coming up today. But it's something that is resonating with other projects and project owners because they want to make their projects more accessible. And that's what we built, and that's CurePay. And I'm really excited about it and the future of it, and it's working out really, really well. So with that, I think we can pause there. I mean, I got tons to cover off on, but I think we can pause there and take some questions. And at some point, I'd love to talk about the future Cure Chain, which is really the revolution of Cure and where the future of it is really going to become mainstream.
Yeah. Okay. We've got Zidane27 here on second. Okay, Zidane, you can unmute.
Okay. Hello?
Yep, if you go ahead, we can hear you.
Good evening, guys. Thank you very much for this opportunity to ask questions here. I would just like to know what important thing you're yet to achieve for this project, and how the community will be able to benefit from this positively.
I missed the last part of that question, but I think the first part was, what are some of the important things still yet to achieve?
Yeah.
So let me answer that. Obviously the big ones have already been achieved. CoinGecko, CoinMarketCap listings, the staking features, all the types of things that projects do, all projects do. We've accomplished all of those. Our next big thing is an exchange listing to make this much more accessible. That was the purpose of CurePay, but we need to get an exchange to reach more people, specifically audiences in the Middle East, Asia, some parts of Europe and South America. So our exchange listing is going to accomplish that. As far as the next major milestones, we are continually developing CurePay to make that much more of a destination and a repository for other projects to come in underneath it and white label it under their name. But we're trying to build a platform for easy entry, onboarding into the BSC space. We're also going to be doing a Ethereum fork coming up here, not too soon, but pretty shortly. And that's for purifying the BSC project and as well introducing us to new audiences. And then Cure Chain, which I brought up shortly ago, is really the big milestone for us. This is us developing our entirely new blockchain that is focused on research, and it's going to be leveraging dynamic NFTs. And I'll give you a quick summary of what it is, but this is also a result of the pandemic. When working in innovation, I try to analyze things all the time. And when I was sitting in the pandemic, I was trying to think, why is it that we were able to come up with a vaccine so quickly and get it mainstream and globally accessible as quickly as we were? And when you break that down, I broke it down into hundreds of different categories. But when you start to bucket that, you can bucket it pretty easily into researchers had access to data, a lot of data and the same data. Researchers were working shoulder to shoulder as opposed to working in little pockets and silos all over the world. And, they were personally incentivized. I mean, in this case, it was a little bit more of a fear incentive than anything else, but there was an incentive for people to want to work together and to have progress. So what we've concepted and what we've partnered with some of the biggest blockchain developers in the world, the most well-known in both research, data, and science. And we're working on building Cure Chain. And Cure Chain is, as I said, it's a dynamic NFT. So as you know, NFTs are kind of what everybody's talking about right now. But everybody's talking about it through the lens of entertainment and gaming and sports and music and movies. Nobody is really yet applying that into mainstream commerce and mainstream business. And really no one's looking at it from a research perspective or science. So what this is doing is through the power of dynamic NFTs, which have reward systems and royalties, if you look at it like the music industry. When you own an NFT, you can get passive rewards from that. So the NFT is going to consist of medical data, your personal health information, which is agnostic and anonymous. So it's not tied to you physically as a person, but this NFT has value. Your data has value. So we're building a mechanism for you, health organizations, governments to opt in data to a network where the owner of these NFTs can be passively rewarded for life and in perpetuity beyond. So this is an inheritable asset. The benefit to the researchers is now they get much more real-time access to data for rare disease and cancers and other types of catastrophic disease. So it's a win-win scenario between the consumers, which are us, owners of the data, and the researchers who access that data. And researchers are paying a lot of money today for access to data, and a lot. That's probably one of their biggest barriers. So by building a grassroots, ground-up effort and access to data, it's a win for the researchers to be able to get access to data and be able to pay for it, which thus rewards the system and rewards the owner of the data. The third point, which was the kind of the fear tactic or incentive. Why do people want to work together and collaborate? It comes down to Cure being a vehicle for bounties, putting out bounties, very large sum bounties for researchers to want to collaborate, to want to work on a singular focused initiative, and that's both monetary as well as just notoriety within the network and things like that. So we're working on this middle layer, which is the dynamic NFT blockchain, and we're applying it to research and healthcare, but it can also be applied to other industries and other businesses. But basically, summing it up, it's a reward-based incentive NFT blockchain network, and we're applying it first to research and science. That was a long-winded.
Okay, I've actually got one here from Tommy in our chat. He's not able to list at the moment. Second part of he's getting a little bit technical, so we'll start off with the first part. He's asking, with the charities and the funding that you're doing, is part of that towards, I know you've got your grants and things like that for families. Does your funding go to any actual direct research, or do you fund third-party research?
Yeah, so it's a variety of things. So when I started the foundation in 2016, we were funding a research lab at Lurie's Children's Hospital in Chicago. So I live in Chicago. I was trying to fund research here, and it was very progressive research. That research lab has since moved on to Rush University, and now we fund that lab. Because of Cure, we've been able to do a lot more, a significant amount more. So we've funded 80 hospital consortium, which focuses on gene research for cancers. We've funded research at Sloan Kettering in New York. We are in talks with a cancer hospital in Puerto Rico right now about funding there. And then when it comes to the direct family support, that's worldwide. I mean, we've done charity drops, obviously in the U.S., but as well in Europe, in Africa, in Puerto Rico, and we're trying to do as much good as possible. But from a research perspective, we are right now we were funding a lot more research than we in the past than we are today, because we're focusing now on building the mechanism for researchers to be more effective, and that's where we feel the opportunity is. But we are still funding researchers. As they come to us. We do have a grant form on our website for both families and researchers to be able to apply for grants. And up to this point, I think we've had 100% approval rate. So it's pretty easy to get at this point. So we don't want to be discriminating. We want to help as many people as possible. And I think we've done it, and we've been pretty successful at it.
Okay, and the second part, now this bit goes over my head, so apologies if I misconstrue the question. Is it, do you have any specifics on proteins that have been researched? His understanding, there are significant gains being made in the areas of P21 and P53.
Yeah. So I am not a researcher myself. I am a technologist. But I do know that the research that is being done at Rush University by Dr. Mary Beth Madonna does focus on protein research, and specifically proteins accessibility and adaptability to chemotherapies, so that chemotherapies can be much more targeted and inevitably be much more effective. On our website, we have a page dedicated to the types of research that is being done at Rush. And it gets really technical and really detailed on what's happening, but it is all around protein therapies. And you can find that at thebeckleyfoundation.org, not to be confused with beckleyfoundation.org. That's in the UK. But take a look at the website. There is a page there on the research, on the protein research that's being done. But we're not exclusively only focusing on a certain aspect of cancer research. We're trying to be very, very broad and almost like a shotgun approach, where we try to help as much as possible to see what's resonating and what's sticking, and then we figure out if through conversation and dialogue and results, is this the best place to be investing money to progress, the further progress. So we're always looking at other researchers and other ways to make sure that the dollar goes far and goes to the right place. The worst thing we can do as a nonprofit organization is just fund needless research and fund needless things that just don't get results. I mean, at the end of the day, we're results oriented. We want to see results and outcomes, or else it's just a waste. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of money.
Absolutely, yeah, completely. As I say, it's more of a dynamic approach, but I've let Tommy know you've answered that. Hopefully, that'll quench his thirst on that one. Don't see any more hands coming up at the moment for any questions. I'll just check our groups quickly. What's that one?
Well, great. While you're looking at that, I will. I'll talk a bit about some of the things that are coming up here, because I think at the end of the day, that's what most people care about, is what's coming up today, tomorrow, next week. But what excites me the most is what's coming up in the next 3 months, 6 months, and a year. But coming up here shortly, we did mention the exchange. That is happening this week, and we're really proud of that. That was a long effort to get to that point, but we're there, and we'll be listed this week. We have the NASCAR sponsorship, which is all year, which is also getting announced this week as far as who the race team and the driver is. We have a lot of billboards which are currently being run all over the world. I mean, there's a lot of different countries that are running billboards for us, or people in countries. We have some truck wraps, which we're in conversations with about wrapping trucks and having them drive all over the U.S. We have a lot of podcasts and interviews coming up, and these are outside of crypto. And that, again, is differentiator for our project, is that we're not just living in the crypto space. We're living also in the real world. And that's, our project is resonating with that. And we're bringing in people who wouldn't historically come into crypto. So we have some podcasts and interviews coming up in cancer podcasts and business podcasts and marketing journals and things that aren't necessarily crypto. So we're going to get a lot more exposure there here shortly. We're also running a lot of paid media in Google. We're going to be starting Facebook here shortly, as well as Twitter. But we're also doing the historical, crypto marketing things, the Twitter shilling and Telegram and, Reddit posts and all those sorts of things that just, keep the word going about your project. But we're doing those, but spending a lot more time outside. And then on the, just one last thought on the charity side here, we're doing an immense amount. We partnered with Family Reach at the end of 2021, and we're able to help a significant amount of families during the holiday season, all because of Cure. We've also directly supported families with kids with cancer, as well as some kids with terminal cancer, and granted a trip to one who had never been on vacation, 4-year-old with leukemia, and he and his family just had never been on a vacation because their child has been sick since birth. And we granted them an amazing trip, which they're about to take here shortly. We've also been working with a lot of influencers and trying to get what we call Cure ambassadors on board to our project. So we have some big names right now and more on the horizon. But we're trying to do a lot. Every single day, every single week, we have a lot of new announcements and a lot of new things coming out. We're a very active project, and we're very progressive. So a lot of projects, you don't get like visibility into what's going on. And our project was built on 2 principles. One is transparency, which sometimes I'm over transparent, And the other one is authenticity. I want people to feel that everything we're doing is transparent and authentic. And I'm proud of that, and proud of the project as it is right now. And I just can't wait for the future. It's going to be an amazing year for Cure.
Yeah. On the subject of visibility and getting out there, I know one of the things I have mentioned to you in the private discussions prior to this was your Pixl Pad spot. Mm-hmm. And, we've had a little bit of a delay trying to get things up. I know I had said I would come back to you. The news I mentioned earlier, we've got a discussion in about 15 minutes due to have the launch date announced for next week. So we are hoping, as of next week, the pad will be up and we'll have your spot there ready and primed. So we'll need to get your guys onto working on your little display logo.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'd love if you could talk a bit about your project and platform, because my community doesn't know much, and I'd love to have them get caught up on what it is and what the future of that is and what the roadmap looks like.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, I can try and break it down into 2 or 3 minutes. If I do waffle, give me a little flash on the microphone button, because there is so much going on at the moment. It's a little bit tricky to keep up. Originally, Pixl came together because the founding members, prior to founding, actually all got hit by the same scam token, which sadly we're all too familiar with. It happens way, way too often. And they came together under the guise of wanting to get together a safer project for people to come together, know their money was a little bit safer. That idea flowered into, instead of just a project where we can have, one team, one token, one potential fly into the markets, why not a safe place for multiple projects? Why not bring everyone together that's got the same vision for BSC, that has good intentions, under the same umbrella? We're currently on the V2 of the contract. The version 1 was actually community ran. It was a renowned contract. Even then, it did hit 35 million on the market cap, and that was with very limited funding. It was personally funded by the team from their own pockets. Due to those limitations, it was actually a community decision to say, no, we want to progress. We want things to really come together. We know funding is needed. And it was moved over onto a manual migration on the V2 contract. I think at one point there was somewhere in the region of 500 B&B managed by the team that was sent across the whole community, which I think in itself shows the trust that they have and the faith in the team. Shortly after the V2 contract was launched, everyone received their funds. We didn't have a single where will I receive it, what's happening, can I trust this process? Everything went smoothly. And where we stand at the moment, the V2 contract, like Cure, is CERTIC audited. We've expanded the roadmap, the initial roadmap. So we originally had the idea for the Pixl Pad and the coin of the week, so finding projects such as Cure that we could work with. We've expanded that now, so we currently have playable games on Android and iOS. We have the most recent expansion was the metaverse. We've actually broached into that as well. So we've got it's only a proof of concept at the moment, but we've got the first module, which is a 90s retro arcade game, which you can go in there and play Pixel Man, or Pac-Man if you prefer. It's actually got our own tune playing as well, which is on Spotify, because every token needs its own song. Coming up shortly in the next 15 minutes, we've got an announcement for next week, as I mentioned, to launch the Pixl Pad, which is the main revenue stream for us at the moment. And generally, the idea for ourselves is that the game, the desktop game that's in production at the moment, the Pixl Pad, the metaverse, any additional modules we put on the metaverse, they're all designed to link in and come together. So I could be at home bored, playing on our iOS game Pixel Rush, a bit like Candy Crush Saga. Cure's logo pops up with a link. Oh, good day. Click into it. I can find out about Cure. Or I'm specifically looking for something to invest in. You go into the Pixl Pad. You've got your logo there with a link for your information. Every aspect of what we're doing is essentially coming together to support projects that we either directly find and vet, and people can feel secure in what they're looking at, or that have approached us for a paid spot on the revenue side of the Pixl Pad and the advertising, in which case they will still be vetted. We will not work with anyone that wants to hide behind closed doors without a purpose and they just want money for themselves. No matter which aspect, whether we're making money for Pixl and ourselves, or whether it's our free approach with stronger projects like yourselves, it must meet certain requirements. That is our primary concern. And ultimately, we want to bring in all of these communities together, all of these projects together, under what I would essentially say is the Pixl umbrella. And you've got a whole culmination of people you can interchange, communicate, swap ideas, swap research, browse around and find, hopefully, your next millionaire maker.
Yeah, no, that sounds really exciting. You know, that's a pretty ambitious project. And I think if I was to outside perspective, I think you're right. You know, a lot of projects are scams. A lot of people have been rug pulled. And by having a safe place where projects are vetted, you know, authentic projects, and the people who are in this space for the right reasons all come together and can be in a community that is vetted and just different criteria and safety and all that's so important. You know, I know early on, early on, I mean, every project that I've come across in one way or another got rug pulled or scammed, or there's fraudsters out there. And, you know, it just needs to be a safer place. So it's really cool that that's kind of the mission of, you know, vetting and you know, validating, even with, you said, the advertisers. That's important. You don't want to be advertising the next rug pull. You know, you want to be working with good people and authentic projects and people who are in it for the right reasons. So that's pretty cool. Sounds really exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. As I say, the Pixlverse was the newest introduction that actually got sprung on us quite recently. So it is a little bit iffy at the moment. As I say, it's a playable version. You can go in there, walk around, listen to things, but ultimately it all comes together. Everything links, everything works, and we just want to work with decent people, decent projects, good intentions. And the idea is that, you know, BSC, it doesn't need to be rug pulls. There is so much money going about. There are so many people with so many ideas. There's no need for it. Yep. But sadly, there will always be those few. So the bigger of an area and the more projects we can bring together under the same understanding, the less room there is for people like that, but also the more educated people are to go out and look for themselves. Because one of the things we will always say, even if our entire team has gone through and you've got a project that's got an audit from every auditor on the planet and every other person, your mum, your gran, everyone's all said, go and buy it. Don't. Still always stop, read the website, try and learn a little bit about BSC scan, look at wallets, understand what you're buying, and decide for yourself whether that's a good investment.
Yep. Do your own research at the end of the day. I mean, that's the space. People need to, you know, they can rely on experts and people who are, you know, are truthful if they find those communities like Pixl is doing. But it's great if people can learn how to do things on their own. You know, I learned, you know, BSC scan pretty early on and went into Solidity myself and started to read and understand what contracts we're doing, because it's important that if you do put any money in, and I guess personally I don't have any money in any of the stuff. I did it early on, but I guess you got to do your own research at the end of the day, or find groups that will do it for you that you can trust and believe in. But yeah, definitely do your own research.
Absolutely. I don't see any more questions coming in at the moment. I say, by all means, if we get anyone on our side, we've got the links to direct everyone over to you. They're all on the website and across the socials as well anyway. I know your guys did a great job of sending things across Medium and all sorts. Our Twitter account, I had to mute the notifications because my phone did not stop for about 2 days straight. So it was great to see that and the coverage that both the projects are getting. And I think that is a good sign. That is something we can all benefit from. Mm-hmm. So as I say, if we get anything else come up, we will more than likely send them across to you. By all means, if your guys want to come across and speak to us directly, they're more than welcome to. But as for anything else, Jacob, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking to yourself once again. The clarity, the direction, the transparency from yourself and your team is second to none. It's brilliant and it's lovely to see.
Well, thank you. Thank you for that. And again, thank you for this honor of Coin of the Week. This really does mean a lot to our project. And yeah, we're just so excited about it. This partnership's going to be great. We're going to do some great things together, and we're we're all pumped about it, excited about it, and motivated. So this is a really, really good collaboration and partnership. I couldn't think of a better project to partner with.
Well, it's brilliant to hear you say that. And as I say, it's been an absolute pleasure, Jacob. And I'm sure we'll be speaking shortly about what we can move on to next with things.
Awesome.
Thanks for your
time.
Thank
you. Thank you, and take care.
You too. Bye-bye. And for any Pixels here, make sure you get over onto the main group. We've got the AMA starting for the pad update coming in at 7 o'clock. I know you've all been biting at the bit for that one, so that's going to come now. And we'll have hopefully Dean, Wook, and the rest of the team giving you the information.